Thank you to Studio Sweden Headphones for sponsoring this episode of Film Fracas. Guys, don't we love our friends over at Studio Sweden?
We do.
We do.
Those Swedes know how to make a good headphone.
They do. They sent us 2 pairs of their Regent on-ear studio headphones, and Brett and Phoenix have been playing around with them for a few days, and they absolutely love them.
Yeah, I got the white pair. Brett has the black pair.
They're not noise canceling, but they feel like they're noise canceling because I cannot hear a thing besides what I'm listening to.
The sound quality's great. It's stylish. It's comfortable.
They're Bluetooth and wired. Which
is actually really helpful. One for recording this and 2 just to use on my regular day-to-day.
It's real nice.
They
Currently,
come in a number of stylish colors.
Yeah.
Not just white and black.
The number is 2.
Yes, black or white.
Oh, never mind. It is just white.
Both stylish.
Very, very much designed with the consumer in mind, and I really appreciate that.
Currently, the headphone market only offers you one of 2 things, style or technology. And these headphones absolutely give you what you need in each of those categories. If you want to get your own pair of Studio Regents or any of the other great pairs of headphones that they offer, go to studio.com right now and buy yourself a pair. And when you get to that little part at the end, put in discount code FilmFracas and you'll get 15% off your purchase just for listening to the show. What a steal. What a steal.
Fantastic. You know what?
Fracas?
I'll take it.
There you go. But there you go. Studio headphones, studio.com, enter code FilmFracas to get 15% off any purchase you make on their website. It helps us out. It helps Studio Sweden out.
All caps?
All caps,
Yep.
all one word.
All one word.
It's
Yep.
Film Fracas. Like you're screaming it all at once.
Film Fracas.
But anyway, that's great. Help support the show. Help support Studio Headphones. We love them so much. Thank you for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Now, on with the show.
Previously on Film Fracas.
But based on score alone, my winner this week, I think it has to go to Beauty and the Beast.
My winner this week is going to be Beauty and the Beast.
This is not going to come as a big surprise because I started my conversation about this film by saying it's a near perfect score.
Yes.
Yes, my winner also this week, Beauty and the Beast.
Mine was kind of a close toss-up. Almost a tie, but I can't give it a tie. I'm not going to say what it's between because that would give away what I'm voting off. But what I am picking is I'm picking Aladdin.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl has to go away from me this week.
My vote this week is going to be for Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl.
Yeah.
This is not going to come as a great shock to anyone, I think. I'm going to vote off Aladdin.
I'm going to go Pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, on with the show.
Hello, everybody. It is close to 9 o'clock. You know what that means. It is time for a brand new episode of Film Fracas, or it's time for you to turn off whatever you're using to listen to this and walk away because you don't like us. But anyway, we're here. We're back. It is the Season 2 finale. It's going to be a throwdown. It's going to be a fight. This is Brett the Rock Johnson coming at you. With me, as always, are Phoenix, Party Zamboni Zarola.
Hello!
Carter, the whole effing show Spilliards.
Is it really the finale?
It is the Season 2 finale. Were you not paying attention to what I said? Oh, we were. I had the energy.
He's zoned out for the whole season.
And
I've only just arrived.
Robbie, the main man, DeShazer.
Hey, what's up?
And
It's the Season 2 finale, right?
And special guest for you, or special treat for you guys. Got our special guest here with us tonight, our friend from the Demon Trash podcast, Avery Demon Trash Echols. How are you doing?
Doing
Hey!
Happy to
Hey!
Anyway.
Hey, we have a guest!
Anyway, it is the Season 2 finale.
Pushing out these crossovers.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your
go
your
ahead.
podcast?
Our
right now?
podcast.
Plug
So
yourself.
I have a
Be shameless.
podcast with my co-host Carol called the Demon Trash Podcast. We call ourselves the Demon Trash Podcast because we're just two 20-year-olds trying to live our lives, recognizing we're kind of demons and we are also really messy and gross like most 20-year-olds, but we just talk about stuff every week, topics that are important to us, or trying to talk with our friends and
Talking about memes.
Yeah, we talk about memes, and
Arguing
we talk
Harry
about
Potter.
our tragic childhoods.
All right, quick.
This is a sad podcast.
No,
It's not.
It's pretty fun.
It's like cathartic
Yeah.
because it's funny.
I listened to the one that Brett
Laugh
was
at the
on,
pain.
and it was a lot of fun.
All right, so question for the table here. Is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone a Christmas
Oh,
movie?
he's gonna sell this now when I have no backup.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
I would say it's not, and
It
I
has
listened
a-
to y'all's arguments, but I don't.
It has a Christmas scene that does not make it a Christmas movie.
I'm
I
thinking
will argue
Gangster
that any movie that has Christmas in it is a Christmas movie.
There you go.
Including such classics as...
You're on Avery's side.
I'm on the side of Christmas in general.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's a
I mean, we're
cop-out.
not. Man,
But
now you just
actually,
ABC
really,
Family,
in all
Christmas
legitimate
Time,
regards,
Harry Potter,
not
Sorcerer's
a
Stone.
Christmas movie. You might sit down and watch it at Christmas. It might make you feel good, but that may be the perfect movie for Christmas.
Sound of Music also
But
not
not
a
a good
Christmas
Chri-
movie,
but
but
not a
lots of people
Christmas
like
movie.
watching it at
Can I
Christmas.
phone a friend?
Isn't that because Sound of Music has
Iron Man 3?
things which kind of got
Co-opted into a Christmas song, even though it's not.
Yeah.
Anyway,
not-
Iron Man
Lots of
3,
people-
Christmas movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most Shane
Lethal
Black
Weapon.
movies. Yeah, most Shane
Yeah.
Black movies are Christmas movies.
But
Anyway,
that's not what
but,
we're going to talk about.
beside the point.
We're
Yeah,
not doing
we're-
a season of Christmas movies. We're doing a season of Disney movies.
All right, so
it's
let's-
nearly over.
But that's a
gonna
good
rope it back
idea.
in here. As I've said multiple times now, this is the season 2 finale, Carter.
What?
This episode is.
I've only
what is
just
it, episode
arrived. What are we talking
7,
about?
8? What episode is it?
Oh, this would be episode 7 of season 2.
Episode 7, the Fracas
We had-
Awakens.
we
I
had,
used that joke last season. Still fresh.
We had 8
I
movies,
think.
and so
But
that
yeah,
was
we
like
started-
our BGG final
We
one.
started with 8 movies. We're down to 2 now. Our last
Whittled
2
it
movies
down to 2.
are Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. Both great, both classics. It's going to be a hard episode.
Yeah.
This is really
yeah,
hard.
or a
I just
very
watched
easy
them
one.
and
So
wow.
Yeah, they're both great.
Like,
And they're both have a
both
lot of
great.
similar
yes,
aspects to them. Like they're just done differently, and you're like, which movie did it
Can we
better?
vote for neither?
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Wait,
What?
wait, we're
Yeah,
allowed?
that's a cop out. We're here to have a fracas, folks.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Fracas is going to be about the rules here.
Real quick, Avery has said to me a number of times at the office that she thinks there's not enough fracas in the film Fracas. She wants us to kill
We're
one
too good
another.
at friends.
No.
But
Friends fight.
to rein it back in, talk about what's happened this whole season. We've had quite the season.
Wonderful.
Some films didn't get really much time to shine. Some films lasted
Wait,
maybe
before
longer
you
than we
start, you
expected.
know what film did not get time to shine?
Mary Poppins.
Mulan. Why it was Mulan not talked about?
Oh,
Why?
that's because Carter hates women.
That's because Phoenix
I
really talked about the
figured.
Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, I want to talk about the
In
Mighty
my
Ducks.
I'm just saying
defense.
Mulan would have excelled in like every single category.
And
Mulan is a
no
good
one is
movie.
denying
If
that.
anyone had thought of Mulan.
Yeah.
I guess it's just not a memorable movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
But yeah,
Eddie- oh my god.
hot take.
I'm just trying to get
Wait, have you
reactions out of
said who
something.
picked what?
Mulan
we-
is a
we
good
know-
we know,
movie.
so-
We can do that in the bonus episode.
Or we can
Yeah.
do that at the end of this one.
Or at the end of this one.
Brett just outed that I picked Mighty Ducks, and now I'm embarrassed.
I mean, I
Well,
feel
you
like
could have picked
probably-
National
you could've-
Treasure.
You probably could have figured that out after
So-
listening to it.
Yes,
Yeah, 'cause I really
let's
like
rein it in a little bit.
Okay, yeah,
we're going to talk about
let's-
these movies. So today's episode, unlike the rest of the episodes in the season, we do look at these films holistically. We're looking, we're finding
Holistically.
the most magical, as we
Yes.
said at the beginning of the season. I totally forgot what our theme was for a second. But remember, we had a great tie-in. We had a great, Disney thing. We did not hit the
about
whole
Pixar
season.
movies, right?
But hey, most
It's fine.
magical. We're figuring it out tonight. 2 great films. How are we going to do this?
I honestly don't know
We can just-
because, I mean, we've talked about everything in these movies already. And so, like,
Well, basically, how I was.
because what did we do? Because last
Well,
season was team-based.
Yeah, how I'm thinking we can discuss this is basically you look at the films because we've been taking pros and cons of each individual thing.
Yeah.
So this is looking at on broad strokes. So like on the movie as a whole, what do you like? What do you not like? What works? What does not work? Because there's definitely no movie's perfect. There are definitely flaws in both. And so what are they?
So,
Okay.
for,
And what excels? We're not just looking
just
for
for a
flaws.
little rundown of what each of these things we said had. So episode 1, we talked about best villains. Obviously, our villains for these movies. Aladdin has Jafar and Gaston for Beauty and the Beast. production design. We talked a lot about both of those things and praised both of these films, which is why they ended up here in the final. Best side characters. So you've got people like the genie and
Iago.
Aladdin, Iago.
Jafar!
Iago,
And also-
the Sultan.
The Sultan.
You got all the household items and furniture in Beauty and the Beast.
LeFou.
LeFou, Maurice.
Maurice.
Maury.
Crazy old Maurice.
He was in here last night, rave. Have you guys seen that video?
Maurice with like glow sticks.
Yeah, because they're like, he was in here last night raving. Then it cuts to Maurice like in the tavern, but there's like the like EDM music. He's got glow sticks. He's like dancing around.
Best
Why have I
story.
not
We
seen
talked
that?
I love
about
it. It's
the
pretty
stories
good.
of both of these.
One is about
One is
Beauty
a
and
fairy
the
tale,
Beast,
the other one is a
and
fairy
the
tale.
other one is about Aladdin.
Protagonists, obviously, Belle and Aladdin, respectively.
I thought you
Perspectively.
I thought you grouped
Respectively.
Belle
Yeah,
and
we
the
did
Beast
Belle and
together.
Beast as like a.
Oh yes, we did it. We did
That's
a,
true.
a gruesome twosome
Yes.
there.
And also Aladdin and
No.
Aladdin.
Aladdin
Yeah.
and
Aladdin and-
Aladdin's
Aladdin
dad.
and a boob.
Not in this movie.
No, sadly.
And then music, which both of these films have incredible music. And
I couldn't hum a tune from either of them.
oh really?
Yeah. But you know the whole soundtrack to DT the Mighty Ducks.
Oh yes, like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
I could sing it for you in perfect key right now.
Yeah, if it made it that
Okay,
far.
go.
Go ahead and do it.
Do it. Everybody point your mics at Cardi.
What, right now? We have to get moving. I mean, we don't want to take too long. Don't you think?
Sing.
Well, there you have it.
I can
Carter will
show
not be
you the
returning for
ducks.
season.
I mean,
And we're back. Wasn't that a beautiful concert, everyone? I think you all enjoyed
in
it.
a way, that was a good impression.
Carter's
of the
master
man.
of starting a bit
goodness.
but then
Slow
not
clap.
committing to it.
So many bits
Wow.
have been left uncommitted.
Is this the fracas we're looking at? Is this what you wanted?
Yes.
Is this our infighting? Is this what you wanted? Turning us against each other?
Yeah.
It'll be the
It's so
last
much
time
fun.
Avery's invited to the show.
Angry fracas here.
You'll
But
just notice
the-
the spike.
Okay, but yeah, we
I
gotta,
think
we
this
gotta, we gotta get
demon
started.
Yeah,
trash
this is
is,
a
like,
daunting
spreading
task,
in.
so I don't want to
Here.
start doing
Where did
it.
all this
The
trash
corruption
come
is
from?
spreading.
This is really a daunting task, like I was saying.
Yeah,
Like,
Yes.
It's hard to want to start because I'm scared.
I would say these
Yeah.
movies are both half decent.
Yeah.
At the very least.
I'd say these movies are both full decent.
Well,
I'd say these
Oh,
movies
calm down there.
are
There's your
decent
hot
enough.
take.
bold.
God, I'm gonna roll my eyes out of my head.
But
They're stuck.
Brett, you want to? I mean, it's no secret. One of your favorite movies of all time is Beauty and the Beast. You want to go ahead and just start
it
raving about it?
Definitely is one of my favorite Disney movies. I don't know where to begin other than I think it's interesting that both of these movies were nominated for like at least 5 Academy Awards, which like blows my mind because like animated movies are just kind of seen as like, oh, it's a cartoon, it's an animated movie, it's not
Yeah,
a
seen
it's
as children's fare.
they're not seen as film or cinema or what have you. But then it's like Aladdin. We talked about this in the music episode. Won Best Original Score, won Best Original Song for A Whole New World. Was also nominated for Friend Like Me, but was also nominated for Best Sound Editing and Best Sound Mixing, which I think is really cool. Then Beauty and the Beast won Best Original Score, won Best Original Song for Beauty and the Beast. Was also nominated for Be Our Guest and Belle. Then was nominated for Best Sound Mixing and Best Picture, and was the first animated movie to ever be nominated for Best Picture. So I think that's really cool, and I don't want to use that as like, oh, look how great this movie is, was nominated for Best Picture, but I think that definitely does.
That definitely is a merit.
It definitely speaks to its credit and speaks to its merits and everything. And I was looking at clips from these movies earlier, and I forgot like just kind of how like just fantastic like the animation in every single scene of both of these movies are, like during like the goofy moments and the serious moments during the songs and when people are just talking. Like the animation is always great, and like it all like I forgot just how like seamless and flawless the animation when the Beast is turning like back into the prince, like the transformation scene. Like I forgot just like how just like incredible that is, and I'm like, this was like hand drawn frame by frame in 1991, and it's like it just blows me away, and just I don't really know what I can do except gush about both of these movies.
Now, what do you hate about Beauty and the Beast?
What don't I like about Beauty and the Beast? That's the thing. We
We are talking about the 1991 film, not the 2017 remake. Just so you know.
What?
Wait,
Don't
this is
give
a
me
game
s-
changer.
Season restart.
Hold on. We have to start over.
Welcome to episode 1 of Film Fracas season 2. No, I'm not doing that. We talked about it a little bit in the side character episode. How like kind of like the townspeople are kind of like forgettable. And it's like, yeah, you know, like the baker and like, you know, like you can recognize some of them, but like they're forgettable. But then it's like that's also like kind of like the point.
Did
and
they
like
need to be
like,
memorable?
like they weren't meant to be memorable from the first place, since that's Belle's whole song is like there must be more than this, everything's routine and rote. And so it's like, yeah, it's like they don't need to be, they are forgettable, but that's kind of the point. And then also them not being memorable also kind of like feeds into the whole like you have the whole Gaston song, which shows you like the entire town is just in love and idolizes this guy. Then it also comes through in the mob song when it's just like this guy that they idolize is able to just whip them into a frenzy. And it's kind of like, oh, it's like because these are just these normal average people that like just, yeah, it's just like they're normal average people when you get down to it, like normal average people aren't that memorable unless you get to know them. That's not the point. And then in Aladdin, I think a lot of people gave Aladdin more of an edge in the side characters episode when it came to like all the other random people, like the captain of the guard and all the people in the bazaar and everything. But I feel like that's on the same level as the townsfolk from Beauty and the Beast. Because it's like, you know, like the captain of the guard, but that's because he's got like that very distinct design. He's got that very distinct voice. But it's like, I feel like at the end of the day, everybody, all like the people in the bazaar from Aladdin are this on the same level as the people in the town from Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, it's kind of like, God, this is just like toe to toe for both of these movies.
It's an intense episode.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's
No one's saying that this is an
it's
easy
very
choice.
tough.
This somewhat seems so easy and also so anticlimactic at the same time. It's, you know,
Yeah,
we can't go wrong with either one that we have.
I think if I like one, I guess, criticism that like that really sticks out to me is like I love the genie, and Robin Williams will forever be the genie, and like there'll never be any way that tops that. But that said, a lot of the references and a lot of the jokes that the genie makes are kind of dated, and like as a kid they all went over my head, and I was just kind of like, oh, that's just the genie being goofy, ha ha. But like being older, I'm like, oh, like wait, he did a Rodney Dangerfield.
Does Rodney Dangerfield?
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what child's gonna understand that? I understand like some stuff is for the parents, but I'm like, nowadays it's like, oh, that's kind of an odd thing to do, like.
Absolutely.
And so it's like some of those might come across as like a little dated and kind of weird. Like they're great, but I'm just kind of like they might not hold up as well.
But as a child, you laughed at it.
As a child,
So
I laughed because I
it
was like,
wasn't
oh,
effective.
haha, like
It's goofy.
He's making a funny face,
Yes.
but it's like I wasn't able to like appreciate and understand it.
Yeah, I can tell y'all where I'm at on this because I have a kind of dilemma I'm facing because Aladdin is my favorite Disney movie, but I honestly believe that Beauty and the Beast is perhaps a better made film,
Yeah,
and so I'm stuck here in between because I'm like, I can tell you that I've always loved Aladdin because it has this sense of like wonder and magic that I think is kind of missing from Beauty and the Beast, whereas that one's more about like the power of love and beauty. Yeah, Aladdin's more about like endless possibilities and like you can be whatever you want to be kind of thing. And then Beauty and the Beast has always been much darker, which I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It's just different from like your standard fare. I do think Beauty and the Beast is a darker film, a more mature film. It deals with more complex things, and it's structured in a more complex way. I think that I don't know. It's difficult to pinpoint like problems with either of them unless you just get into like little things that you're like, I don't like this necessarily. Like I never minded the genie's dated references. I think that's just part of the charm of the film, and
You're
it definitely.
Yeah, like
Well, to be fair,
like,
you're also an old soul.
That's true.
Like,
That's
you
true.
immerse yourself in much older things.
Yes,
than
than
people
the
from our
average
generation.
person. Yeah.
like yes, like I'm not saying those are bad. 'Cause, like I love
Yeah.
just like being like trying to be objective, like in the context of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And at this point, like we don't have a choice but to be nitpicky. It's just kind of like
Oh, yeah, no,
and that's just
definitely.
something I'm a little like, but like you, like I do love this movie, and it's like it like you said, I did laugh, and now understanding it, I'm kind of like, oh no, like that's hilarious, but that was wasted on me as a child.
Yes. In terms of like the movies overall, I think that Beauty and the Beast, it always surprises me. I don't necessarily know if this is a good or a bad thing, but it's not that long. But I've always felt like it was a longer movie than it actually was. And so I don't know if that speaks to its pacing or something like that. But anytime I watch it, I always think it's longer than it actually is.
I was thinking that. I was watching it today, and I was like, Brett said this was a short movie, and I'm watching this, I'm like, this movie feels really long to me for some reason. I don't know, maybe it was the pacing or like me
Yeah.
remembering as a child, like it going a lot faster, like the plot, but it actually felt like it moved pretty slow.
So, for
Yeah.
reference, Aladdin is exactly 90 minutes, and Beauty and the Beast is only 84.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
even shorter, but it feels significantly longer to me.
Yeah, I think it's because like when you think of like the framework of the movie, you kind of gloss over like how much like actually time passes and like the details that go from, because I think when you're just thinking on broad strokes, you're thinking about when she gets there and is with the beast, and then you're thinking about immediately falling in love and then and then him turning back or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you don't think about like the length of how long it takes for them to fall in love, how long it takes for the whole like
You don't even
ending
think about
scene.
how long it takes between, the first song and Belle even ending up at the castle.
Yeah, like
You have the whole scene with Gaston,
Yeah, 'cause
trying
that-
to trick her into marriage.
Yeah, because that shocked me when I first saw it, like back before the season or whatever, or not first saw it, but like when I saw it back before we started the season, is that I forgot how long that takes or whatever. Which is not to say it's wrong or it's bad or anything. I'm just saying I think that's why, because I had the same thing too. I also felt like it was longer than I remembered it to be.
Which, on the flip side, I think it might be a little more slower paced. But if you look at Aladdin, which is very kind of quick movie,
It is.
It happens in the
um,
course of 3 days. She
yeah.
has 3 days to choose a husband.
but
Yeah.
Aladdin happens very quickly. But when I think about them together, I think part of the reason that Aladdin can move so quickly is it has a little bit of a thinner plot, because it's like it's not that complicated what's going on, and so it just all happens very quickly and then it's over. Whereas like Beauty and the Beast is a much denser movie, even though it's actually shorter, and so it feels longer. So it's kind of like you're like, do you want the faster pace with the thinner plot, or the slower pace with the more dense and intricate plot? So
Right.
Because
Yeah.
like
That's
you
part
said
of
in
the
the
trade-off.
protagonist episode, like Aladdin is kind of like thrown into the next thing.
Well, like, the way it plays-
Avery, do you want to?
I have things about Aladdin after
okay,
like
go.
watching it. I
Go
realized
ahead.
that like Aladdin is actually a really good protagonist. He's not just thrown into stuff. He didn't just happen to beat Jafar. He outsmarted Jafar, like by tricking
true.
him into
Yeah.
becoming a genie. He has a lot of really good character traits that make him a really strong protagonist for me, like over even like Belle and the Beast, because he is not only just like, I don't know, he's battling with his identity as a street rat, wanting to be better for Jasmine, wanting to be worthy of her, so he's battling with that. And then he's just like really smart in battling society and outsmarting guards and outsmarting the genie, even the most powerful being in the universe.
That's
and,
true.
And even
Yeah.
at the end, he really shows that he's like a really selfless character, because like right before he wishes the genie free, he was about to give up his life with Jasmine because he wasn't going to be a prince, and he decided, he's like, no, genie, like, I'm going to wish you free. And then the sultan came in, her dad, and ripped up the laws and was like, you can marry, but he was about to give up his life with Jasmine for the genie to be free. So it just proves kind of like what a selfless character that Aladdin was, versus I felt like Belle, she didn't show like a lot of character growth, and she kind of is the star of that movie, the protagonist. And then but the Beast did change, of course, because they fell in love. but I feel like their only outside factors were like within themselves, and then of course Gaston trying to like force her into marrying him, but that really didn't affect her. She didn't really grow as a person. She was like the same person at the end.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and that's one thing I was going to bring up as well, is like I think because at the end of the day, these are like kids movies, and they have like good messages for kids. That not to say that adults can't enjoy them, but they're for kids.
No adult can enjoy it.
Above
the age of 18, I lost all interest in both of these.
I forgot this is a movie.
I physically cannot see these films.
No, it's literally just like a
it's
blank
static.
screen.
It's pure static.
Yeah.
It's
I
bizarre.
thought this was the new David Lynch joint.
Yeah. But I think that's a good point, because I think when we compare the movies and like their messages, I really like lean more towards Aladdin, because I really like you said, like he is like a good embodiment of like a person that you want to try and be. Like he has good traits of being intelligent and clever, but also like nice and giving to like, because of what he does like the other people, and what he does to the genie at the end. Like he has all these good traits that I think like sell good attributes for children. And then when you look at Beauty and the Beast, I could see the argument of like how I think maybe with Belle it's like, you know, don't judge a book by its cover. With the Beast, or like with the Beast, you know, like open your heart up or something. Those are small things, but I think the message of Beauty and the Beast gets a little bit more lost. I don't know if that is different for any of you guys, but when in that sense I do lean more towards Aladdin.
I don't feel like the message necessarily gets lost, but I think I do understand what you're saying. But I feel like the message is a little more clear than you're making it out to be.
Yeah, I guess I think like with Beauty and the Beast, I feel like when I watch it, it's more like I'm watching a love story from the back, and then when I watch Aladdin, I feel like because it's so central to him, like I'm following him and seeing his change, and then I'm taking in what he's getting at. Whereas like the love story between Belle and the Beast, whatever his name is, I forget.
I think I just call him the Beast.
Yeah, Belle and the Beast.
I think Prince Adam, is that?
I don't know.
Like
I don't know.
I think when I'm watching them, I feel like that's such a specific thing for them. Whereas like with Aladdin, I feel like the stuff he picks up, I can draw on. But that's just me. I'm not saying that's universal. That's just where I see things.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to bring up, which I feel like is going to be kind of tough to talk about, but I just feel like we should, since we did it with Silence of the Lambs last season with the transphobia and stuff, is I think both these films kind of have like bad things that don't necessarily age well in them.
Yes, there are some problematic aspects.
Yeah, that we should touch on, because those are cons and negatives at this point. With like, I mean, Aladdin has a lot of like culturally insensitive things in it, a lot of like mixed cultures, and a lot of like racial stereotypes in their appearance and stuff, and even in action. I think even though it's debated a lot, I think Beauty and the Beast also has that like Stockholm syndrome thing that people complain about.
Because it's like, people can argue whether or not it's there, but the fact that the conversation is so like is there means that there's something there that people can draw on from it. Yeah, that wasn't there before.
Yeah, it's like Let It Snow. Like some people don't like that, and some people are like, oh, it's not what it's trying to say. The fact that it's there kind of makes it be like a little gray area.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Baby, it's cold outside. Yeah, not Let It Snow.
Let it snow. Nah, man, fuck snow.
What's
snow?
Let It Snow is anti-Christianity propaganda.
Well, it's
we
the one
know
where
it.
you build a snowman that gets you married. So I guess that's like.
True.
So I guess that's like forced child marriage.
Let It Snow is homophobic.
Oh.
Okay.
But I think there's a lot to be said there. Cultural appropriation wise, I think, it's a weird conversation because you get into the other side of the argument, which is Agrabah's not a real country.
Yeah. It's
not
entirely
real.
fictional. So.
It's entirely fictional. But at the same time, you have Robin Williams doing that a little vaguely Middle Eastern accent at the
beginning.
And there were also groups of Middle Eastern people that did find it kind of very offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Disney is still I don't know if they're still fighting fallout from it, but there are still people that are still unhappy with it.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that Jafar is very he does seem very Middle Eastern, whereas Aladdin seems a lot more
like Anglicized kind of.
Yeah. So I know there's a lot of issue
They
there.
made Jafar ugly because he's the
ended up,
villain.
Yeah, that's Disney for you.
No, but there's a scene of the genie coming out. And he's like, "Oh, we casted an old ugly man as Aladdin." It was a joke in the film.
But yeah,
Because he came out. It was a joke. Sorry.
interesting thing to me. Then what that leads to is with this live action remake coming up, is a lot of people are calling for this one to maybe right some of the wrongs that were made in a lot. With trying to cast people of color instead of a white guy voicing an Arabian prince.
And if
Yeah.
you're listening to this from the future and that movie has already come out, tweet at us. Let us know if we were right or wrong.
Use
Please.
future Twitter. That
Use
allows you to
future
tweet
Twitter.
past Twitter.
Tweet into the past and let us know what y'all think.
Future Twitter.
If you tweet.
Twitter of the future.
So I think
Tomorrow's anger today.
I don't know if anyone has anything more to say on those kind of bad things. I just figured we'd
Stockholm
talk about it,
no,
bring it
no,
up,
we've talked
acknowledge
about-
Yeah,
that
we talked about the Stockholm Syndrome thing a really good amount. I thought we were all kind of in agreement that it wasn't exactly Stockholm Syndrome.
I feel like it's not exactly Stockholm Syndrome, but I feel like there is
But she
merit
wouldn't
to
have
the
been
argument.
there
there's
very
merit to
long
the
if she had a
argument, yeah.
choice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's on reading, like how you perceive it yourself, and I mean, I feel like I'm like what Robbie said. I think I don't believe it, but also I totally see why someone would, because
Yeah.
there's not the Beast tries to hit her, so that's not a good
Yeah.
thing.
No.
And then,
It doesn't promote good relationship.
Yeah.
That's true.
Beginning of relationship values, at least,
No.
regardless
he
of how
learns
you.
and
Also-
becomes better, but also she still kind of has to have his permission to leave. Like,
Also,
it's-
I've heard the criticism before that it sets this role model that if women find really bad men, that they will eventually become like a Prince Charming. And
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and that's not
It's
good.
like, oh, he's rough around the edges, but he'll be okay eventually. He'll
Yeah.
fall in love and
Yeah.
be nice, and then he'll finally be a prince
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it sets up it's not
Yeah.
his fault he's a beast idea.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think it's necessarily something that everyone gets from it, but I can.
No,
Right,
but I've heard that
yeah.
criticism
Yeah.
of it before.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's I kind of see where that's coming from too.
But aside from social issues, the one thing I still, I'm thinking about these two movies, and it's crushing me to even think about having to make a choice between either of them.
Yeah, I'm pretty split.
Yeah.
The one thing that is every time I keep going back to is those ugly 3D animation scenes
Yes.
in Aladdin.
In Aladdin, it's
And
not.
I can't stop thinking about them, and it looks horrible on my TV. Now in preparation for this, was like, well, maybe it looks better on a smaller, less high resolution screen. Pulled it up on my phone, and was like, this looks so bad. It's not.
Well, and I was actually, this is a little bit off topic, but it's on the same line as this. I was reading a whole article about Disney taking these older films, and when they upscale them and clean them up for Blu-ray, it ends up actually erasing a lot of the detail in the animation.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it's actually lost in that process. And so what you end up getting is not as clean animation in the higher resolution.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wonder if I were to break out my old VHS of Aladdin and watch that, how the effects look on that kind of cohesively in the film versus watching it on Blu-ray. So
On the next.
again, that's
Video
that's,
bonus
Yeah,
episode.
that's neither here nor there. But I did think it was interesting, and I thought that was pertinent to what we were talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But no, it's one of those things that it bothers me, and I just don't think there's as much of that in Beauty and the Beast, if any.
Because
Yeah.
Beauty and the
I could-
Beast, their big thing is the ballroom, and that still looks
There's
fantastic.
that, and then there's
I remember.
I guess the shot where it swoops through during BR gas that's maybe a little aided by computers. But
I remember when we were talking about it during the production design episode. I remember thinking the Cave of Wonders it looks bad, but you really got to admire the design. I went back and rewatched them, and I kind of stand corrected. I'm the Cave of Wonders while it's a good design, I
looks
I saw
It looks ugly.
It looks very rough now.
The shot that always sticks out to me is Aladdin on the carpet going through the lava.
Oh,
this
that
looks
part was
so bad.
never.
Yeah.
I felt like that never. I totally forgot
Yeah.
about that until I watched it again. I was like, okay, yeah, I remember this never held up. I remember even watching it when I was little, thinking something doesn't
Yeah. It
look
looks weird.
quite right, and that part
Yeah.
definitely doesn't hold up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because the shadows on him don't change,
No.
and that he's going through different colors. And
Yeah.
you're
Well,
like,
it
what?
looks
It's
like-
not working.
When a person is standing in front of a green screen,
Yeah,
bad
it
green
looks
screen,
like-
you can
yeah.
obviously tell.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. It looks like they pasted his picture on a green screen, had the lava behind him.
And it was you who said it was during that first experimentation with that kind of model.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was very, very
It was
early
very
with that
early.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which yeah, I guess gives Beauty and the Beast the animation edge. Because I don't even like I remember those, and yeah, they're not good, and I don't remember any kind of major animation issues.
Yeah, I don't
The
think-
one thing with the one part of the animation that fell for me a little bit in Beauty and the Beast was when they were doing like all the plates moving and dancing. It
That's what I
was
was- yeah.
very basic, like flat, where they could have like added some sort of like shadow or 3D. Like I was like, this just looks like if I did like a 3D spin on something in Premiere, like if I did that myself.
Right.
I was like, they could have put a little bit more in that, considering like the ballroom was so great.
That's probably where all the budget
Yeah.
went.
Yeah,
was
that's
money
like
with the ballroom.
we were like, we gotta fill it with like circles and some like shapes.
But that
That's
being
what it
said,
looked like.
that ballroom is how you do that right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's you know.
I have a question, or just a suggestion. Do we want to compare Disney princesses with Belle and Jasmine? We can talk about them as like, I don't know, characters in the movies.
I
and
think a little
existing
bit
outside
harder
of it.
because like Jasmine, you don't get a lot of like Jasmine on her own doing stuff in
Right.
Aladdin, whereas Beauty and the Beast is all about Belle doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit hard to you don't get
Well,
quite the same
I-
sample
that's a
I
size.
think you can
That's a
compare
bit
them a little
tougher.
bit.
I mean, yeah.
What
Yeah.
you run into there is that Jasmine starts off the story already a princess and kind of stuck in a situation by, the structures put around her by her father, by the government, by Jafar, whatever. Belle kind of moves from,
Yeah.
she has a rags to riches story,
Yeah.
essentially. And
Which
that,
is also what Aladdin does.
Yeah.
yeah.
They're not dissimilar.
No.
But it maybe makes it easier to compare
Those
Belle
two.
to Aladdin than it does to Belle to Jasmine.
Yeah.
Yeah. In which case, we'd go back to like what Avery was saying with the Aladdin's character and him being a good protagonist and stuff. And
Versus Belle.
Versus
Yeah.
Belle. Which,
I guess I brought it up
It's
because I
beautiful.
remember as a kid, Jasmine was my favorite Disney princess, and then now rewatching it, I remember not liking Jasmine as much and liking Belle because I think Belle's like cooler or whatever. Maybe it's because she gets more screen time.
I think
but I like
Belle's
Belle.
like a well-rounded, well-defined character. I do think she's more like static than Aladdin, like what Avery was talking about. That she's still a really good, well-rounded character at the end of the film, but it's like she as a character didn't really grow or change that much, whereas Aladdin like had his like main character traits of being like selfless and helpful because he like gives the bread and then he frees the genie at the end, so like his selflessness and that kind of stays through, but he learns to be I think he learns to smarten up a little bit as soon as he realizes he's been tricked by Jafar.
He learns not to lie.
He learns
Learns not to lie.
not to lie.
Accepts who he is.
Yeah, so I think he has a little bit more of a journey than Belle does. And even the Beast, I mean, we talked about has more of an arc because he, has to become a man. But, I mean, he himself, it's just him learning to love, and there's not much more than that. I mean, he just learns to be nicer.
He learns manners.
Manners, yeah.
He learns to love and be loved in return.
Yes.
But-
So it's like,
The most
beyond
important
that,
thing.
But except when you get into like the plot of it, the Beast is the one that kind of like makes the big decisions that kind of drive everything forward. Whereas with like we've talked with Aladdin,
Yeah.
he is kind of like thrown into things. They're like, "Oh, Aladdin, you should go get this lamp." He's like, "Okay, I'll go get the lamp."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Hey, Aladdin, you got to do this." Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, because it's like he gets captured and then he's in the cell with, the disguised
Yeah.
Jafar, and he's like, leave and get this lamp for me. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. So I guess that this is kind of the trade off when we're
Yeah,
looking
so
at it.
things
It's
kind of
like-
just happen to him.
Yeah, it's like he does have a little bit of a change. So does the Beast. The Beast kind of makes more of the decisions as a protagonist.
Yeah.
Aladdin's kind of thrown around. So, yeah, I guess like we've said before, like that's the give and take of the movies.
Well, and in terms of dealing with the villain, I mean, like Avery said again, Aladdin deals with Jafar and outsmarts him and beats him.
The Beast doesn't.
The Beast does
just
not.
gets stabbed.
The Beast
He
like falls over dying,
But
and
the
then
Beast had the option to kill Gaston, and he decided
he
not
said,
to.
"No,
Yeah.
go and don't come back." And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's like he's made a huge change at the beginning of this.
Yeah,
movie. He would've-
exactly.
he would have
He
just
would have
killed
ripped
him.
his face
He
True.
would have ripped his
That's
spine
true.
out of his very handsome body.
So that does show his character.
His body, every last inch of it's covered in hair.
That was forced.
Gaston is a really.
I realize.
He's a good villain because he's just the worst.
Yeah, we talked.
But
He's just a dick.
but he's also like the best.
He's the best, but
Yeah.
He's such a jerk
Yeah.
and like really evil. Like
Yeah.
deciding to send someone's father away, stabbing someone in the back. It's a real low life of a villain.
Yeah, because like I mean the big difference is like Jafar is very like classic villain, take over the world kind of, and then Jafar is just like very centrally just trying to like ruin someone's life, specifically just being a real asshole in any way possible. And I think it's an interesting dichotomy.
They're also like each villain also has their own like sidekick. But I would say that Jafar's sidekick is way better. Like
Yeah,
Iago
Iago
is like
is
actually
better than
smart.
LeFou.
Miles beyond LeFou.
Yeah,
I mean, Gilbert Godfrey is just,
yeah,
miles above any of us mortals.
yeah.
That's true.
And I would have done the voice, but I didn't already do it. But it's okay.
Do it again.
Jafar.
There it is.
There we go.
I think that one was better than the first one.
But yes, on the merits of the villain, I do think that Gaston really succeeds in being a villain that you love to hate, and that never really.
I mean,
like-
I guess you guys like him. I don't like him at all. I just he's like a jerk.
Yeah, no, he's awful.
Yeah, he's-
But there's like something fun about
Yeah,
like
like
how awful he is.
The love to
Yeah,
hate.
love to hate. Like Jafar, I just have never liked.
Yeah, it's
like-
just kind of, he's a bad guy.
I thought it was cool, but I was like, no.
You don't like his
Yeah,
style?
Jafar. No one
and,
ever
like-
liked Jafar. He was scary.
Yeah, never really
He turned
liked.
You don't like
Yeah,
his
Jafar's
style?
art-
His
I
like
mean, his.
outfit? Is
I mean,
fucking
I always
sick.
I liked his. I
Yeah,
liked
he
his.
does have a cool outfit.
I liked
though.
his
Like,
staff.
he was, like,
I liked his like
He's
snake.
dressed to impress.
I liked his like snake staff. I thought that was cool.
That is cool.
I thought Aladdin breaks that way too easily because I mean that had to
Yeah,
that had
that
to
was
have
like
been
gold shatter.
some kind of like it looks metal. I mean, and the fact that it just I'm like
I mean,
no,
it makes
he would
a
not.
metal sound when he hits it on the ground.
I know, but it's like
But like it breaks like it's ceramic or
Yeah.
something.
Remember, he had the strength of 10 men. I would just watch this movie, so I was like,
No,
remember the
Aladdin's
genie gave him the
full,
power
like-
of 10 men.
that's true.
yeah,
So
That's true.
And I
he might be able to crush
I think
metal.
10 men can break a stick.
Probably.
Yeah.
10 men.
But
breaking one
but
stick.
wasn't that the genie helping him out in the moment of the song?
I don't know.
Who
And
knows?
then when Jafar gets the lamp, like
I'm sure
It
he's
only
still
seems
granted.
like it goes away
undone.
when the next
I'm sure he's
person
still
goes
granted that power. I don't see
I
why.
guess
No take
I am not
These
well
are the
versed
questions
in the.
we all have about.
I'm not
I know.
well versed in the extended lore of the Aladdin mythos.
I know we were
Sorry to
discussing
say.
Aladdin 3 earlier, and you just
Couldn't
Yeah.
say
So
anything about it.
flagrantly
No.
disregarded.
No, I said it was okay. I gave it the hand wave.
It's a good movie.
Oh, it didn't get a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
It's a good.
I mean, I haven't.
What would it get
seen
on Brett Johnson?
I
don't
know.
watch
I
Aladdin
have,
2.
I
It's
have to
bad.
watch it.
But Aladdin 3 is
Aladdin
damn
2 would
good.
get a thumbs down, but Aladdin 3 I have to watch
damn
it.
good.
But that's not what we're talking about.
No,
Beauty
but
and
I
the
think
Beast 2, however.
I think we
Tim
have
Curry is a
talked a
giant
lot about
pipe
these
organ.
movies.
Okay, yes.
Do we think? Does anybody think they have an idea of what they're gonna vote for?
I really don't know.
This is so torn.
I don't know what more
I-
we have to say,
I'm
but I
very
also don't
I
have
think-
an answer.
This is
I think-
way harder than
I
the
th-
last finale.
It's like trying to choose like two childhood movies.
Yeah.
It's
I-
really hard.
I think I know which.
Fuck didn't D2 make it all the way? This would have been so easy.
I think
D2
I know.
all the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last
Ducks for
season was
life.
really easy.
Ducks
Ducks
fly
fly
together.
together.
Ducks died.
Or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I know which way I'm leaning, but I'll have to see how more of the discussion plays out.
So we have more discussion?
I guess so.
I mean,
I have
do-
one
do-
other thing.
Okay.
So, like, when we talk about most magical, are we talking like most
Which
kind
one
of?
has the most magic in it? Aladdin. Boom.
Oh,
Aladdin.
true. Bam.
There.
Darn.
Although-
I'm joking.
Be-
Are you
he's-
counting
he's
every
been a beast
single-
for who knows how long.
What?
21 years.
No, okay.
No, he has until his 21st. No, we're not doing them. We're not doing that. Avery, I know what you're gonna
The
say.
oldest he
We're
could
not doing
probably
that.
be
We're not
when he
going
got
there.
turned is like 11. I was like,
So he's been a beast for 10 years.
He was 10 years.
But I'm also like,
Because
of course, any like
characters
rich 10-year-old is gonna be a twerp to this like
Yeah.
old lady. So I'm like, really? Like you had to curse him
You could
that
get
bad?
Witches are
Yeah.
evil.
That's
man.
true.
Witches
Yeah.
aren't good.
That's true.
That's true.
Also, it shows how he changed because now he's no longer a twerp.
That's true.
Now he's a man.
I had a
beast.
question that
Yes.
I was asking.
Okay.
I'm
And
sorry.
we
Which
answered
is more
it.
Sorry.
magical.
I was just,
Right?
I was just asking when we mean most magical, do we mean like more like of the kind of like Disney vibe or Disney feel, or do we just mean better film?
We truly mean just Best Picture. This is just
Yeah,
a name
it's
swap.
just-
But also,
it's just for the.
what do you think has the most Disney vibe? Because that gives us more stuff to talk about.
I think Beauty and the Beast does. I mean, I feel like with Beauty and the Beast, when I think of Disney, I would and like what Disney represents, I think more Beauty and the Beast because it's got that like strong love story. It's got like the traditional Disney princess. It's got the fantasy element to the situation. It's got like the fun side characters that are like very like kitty and dancy and bounce around and stuff. And I think like just the world it creates like is very like what is it, like fancy pristine Disney or whatever. So I would give that the candle or whatever, like the extra point. But if we're not considering it, we don't have to consider it. Aladdin just feels more like it's a good movie and it is Disney as well. But I could see Aladdin if I were to picture, I could see Aladdin being made by someone else, and I couldn't see Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, I could. Sorry, were you?
No. I was pretty much done.
Okay. Just first point on that real quick is saying like Aladdin could have been made by anybody. And this is probably going to sound like probably very racist, but there was the one animated movie called like Sinbad of the Seven Seas,
Yes.
or something. And for some reason,
like the early 2000s.
For some reason, I picture him
Brad
like
Pitt.
I remember the character design of like Sinbad. I guess it was supposed to be Sinbad being like very similar to Aladdin's, and just like remember like seeing shots of that movie and like it looked kind of similar
The skull
to
cap on, I think.
Yes.
they look very similar, and so like thinking about that, it's like, oh, like could Aladdin have been made by other people? So I apologize if that comes off as very ignorant and insensitive. So I apologize for that. Point number 2, like I feel like we got to be careful with being like, oh, what has the most Disney vibe, because
Yeah.
I'm showing everyone a
Carter's
picture
showing
of
us a picture of
Sinbad.
that. And we'll get to Brett's second point after this short break. Thank you to Studio Sweden Headphones for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. What up? We got a great sponsor here with Studio Headphones. They make some great headphones, and Phoenix has been trying out their pair of the Regent headphones for a couple weeks now at this point. What do you think, Phoenix?
I love the headphones. I use them all the time whenever I'm listening to music or whenever I'm editing some videos or something. I like the ability to be able to plug in and plug out or go wireless with the headphones. It really helps me out when I'm editing or when I'm listening to music, when I'm just hanging out. I love the look. I got the white pair and they just look great. They're really comfortable. I really love these headphones.
Yep. Most headphone brands only offer you technology or style. Not with Studio. They offer you both in a convenient, affordable package. And if you want to make those headphones a little bit more affordable for you, use code FILMFRACAS at checkout. It lets them know that you heard about them from us. And, it makes this collaboration worthwhile for everyone. So use code FILMFRACAS, all capital letters, all together, for 15% off any purchase at studiosweden.com.
What a steal.
What a steal! Thanks so much, guys. On with the show. Welcome back to the show, guys. Just before we took that nice little break to thank our sponsors, Studio Sweden Headphones, Brett was talking to us about some stuff about his second point.
Yeah, my second point was I feel like we talking about like what has like the most quote Disney feel unquote is might not be a good talking point, just because that is like super subjective, because you're getting like, oh, what, like, does this feel like a Disney movie? Like, how do you define what feels more Disney? Phoenix told us what he thought, but that might be different from what everyone else thinks. And my example of this is The Last Jedi, which so many people are a bunch of babies being super unhappy with and being like, oh, this isn't a Star Wars movie. This doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, what? And so the whole like, oh, like, what makes a Star Wars movie? What makes it look or feel more or less Star Wars? And it's like, it's dumb. It's a Star Wars movie. Like, if you didn't like it, I'm sorry. Get over it. You're wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love The Last Jedi.
I do too.
Unapologetically. But that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah. So, which I think is why we aren't,
Yeah, and so
trying to
I
judge
feel,
things based on how they feel.
Yeah, because I feel like that would just be like a little too subjective for, like, I know we do get subjective when we talk about things, but I feel like being like, oh, what is the most Disney would be a little too subjective for our own good.
That being said, what do you think is the most Disney?
Just for fun.
Man,
Just for
that's a whole bonus episode's worth of time for me to think about. And
When you say most
That's
Disney, I think about like what movie I would want to be made into a ride, so I could ride at Disney World.
That would definitely be Aladdin for me.
For real.
yeah, you got the
There are the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, which is just a Dumbo knockoff at the
Well,
Magic
I haven't
Kingdom.
been to Disney World in a while.
Same.
So.
My parents didn't like
Keep
me.
your eyes tracked to my Instagram stories. In
That's not
about a
true.
month, I will be out there doing
Hey.
ride stuff and buying Brett
Fancy.
Funko Pops of the Tiki Room. So,
I love the Tiki Room. Why isn't there a Tiki Room movie? Because it'd be bad. That's why.
but we are getting a Jungle Cruise movie with Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Yes, for better or worse. But anyway,
Better.
I don't know if there's anything else that we can
Yeah.
talk about. If we wanna.
Carter, just for fun, which one do you think is more Disney?
It's difficult for me. I would almost be tempted to say Beauty and the Beast, but it's like, because it's like when I think Disney, I think like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, and Beauty and the Beast is definitely more like that. And like I lump Aladdin in with like Hercules, and like it's kind of a different flavor of movie, like Hercules or Emperor's New Groove, something like that.
Like maybe like Tarzan.
Tarzan.
Yeah.
I guess the male-led films versus the female-led films.
So it's
Wow.
like they're all Disney.
Yeah.
movies.
Analyze
So
how
just to
Disney,
be
like,
just to be
use
clear,
their
Carter,
plots by-
you believe in a separate but equal Disney.
Not even.
Man,
I think the right answer is
That's-
no.
No.
Volume.
I'm like, really?
The sound of that sound.
I mean, also, some people could think classic Disney and think like Mickey Mouse. So,
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. I also think that when I think like Disney House of Mouse.
yeah.
Like yeah, I feel
And
like
that's kind of what I was leading towards with like the Cogsworth and
Yeah.
Lumiere and stuff like the.
That is a bit
the
more
fun
like
little
the,
dancey,
what's the
like-
what's the old Disney the symphony
Silly
Symphony.
Symphony.
Silly Symphonies, yeah. That's very reminiscent of
Yeah.
the
Yeah, like when I think of what is Disney, I feel like there is nothing more Disney than the House of Mouse cartoon, because that's literally just all of Disney under one roof. It's like there's nothing more
House of
Disney
Mouse.
than the House of Mouse.
Yes.
I'd love to watch some House of Mouse.
But it's
For
like
fun, I'm gonna say Beauty and the Beast is the more Disney.
Oh.
oh,
All right.
That's I had to think about it, and I was like, my heart just was like, no, say it, you know.
Yeah, for like I guess the Disney that I grew up with, it was always the Disney princesses. So Beauty and the Beast is once
that's
again
true.
just
Yeah.
I think in that era of Disney movies, it was all just princesses.
That's true.
yeah, I got you.
All right. Well, the time has come. I think
Oh, boy.
it's our turn to speak on what we think is the best out of these Disney. We can't say it's the best Disney movie because we picked a very small sample size
Yeah,
of
you
very
didn't
much
take-
what
Yes,
we
yes.
liked. So
Yeah. Shout out to
Carter, I
all
think you
the
should start
non-Disney
saying
movies.
it's
we
the
were
best.
talking
It's
about.
what we deemed the best out of
Mulan,
these group
Lion
of eight.
King.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, why didn't they choose Mulan or Lion King?
Like I'm
We talked about choosing
sorry.
Lion King. We talked
National
about
Treasure,
Yeah.
R.I.P.
We
Like,
talked
if-
about so many different things.
Like it,
Well, you
I'm sure if
why
we
did you choose
each had-
National Treasure over like the Mighty Ducks? That would have been
We'll get into it. We'll get into it in the bonus
Mighty
episode.
Ducks.
But yeah.
but
like, I'm sure if we had all
Made for
chosen
TV.
if we had all chosen 3 movies, I'm sure the Lion King would have
Oh,
made
yes.
it in there.
Yeah.
I
we would have been
chosen
fighting
Lion
over
Not
King.
Mulan
to
though.
claim it.
I
I'm
get it.
sorry.
I mean, we also didn't choose Jungle Book, Tarzan. There's a lot we didn't pick.
yeah.
It looks kind of boring though.
we didn't choose bed knobs and broomsticks. The Dark
we
Crystal.
Or the black
No, we
or the
didn't.
Black
Or
Cauldron.
the Black Cauldron.
or
Or the Watcher in the Woods.
the Great Mouse Detective.
Anyway.
Anyway,
Aristocats.
Carter, I think you should start,
Yes.
and we'll move it all the way over so that our guest gets the final word.
Sounds good.
Oh boy.
This was honestly a very difficult decision. Like I said, Aladdin is my very favorite Disney film, but I think Beauty and the Beast is better made. So when it comes down to it, and I weigh them back and forth, it's difficult. I'm kind of stalling now because I keep going back and forth. But ultimately, my winner, and I think our winner of season 2 is. It's hard to beat a film that, and like we said, it's not necessarily indicative of it being a better film. But when a movie gets nominated for Best Picture, and it's the first animated movie to break the barrier and be nominated for Best Picture, that is quality, and that's true. I think Beauty and the Beast is our winner here.
Okay.
Phoenix are all.
Phoenix. Part
All
of
right.
Zamboni.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate you going that long because it gave me some time to think. I also didn't hear a single thing you said, so I'll listen to it and figure out what you said.
Yeah.
So I was giving this a lot of thought, and all right, this movie has problems. We've talked about it, but I think when it comes down to it, if we're really talking not about like most Disney or most message or whatever. It's just what's the better movie, what like is just crafted well, performed well, good characters, good story, all around like looks great, all around great. I think it's got to go to Beauty and the Beast. And that's what I'm picking.
Okay.
Okay, I am super stuck here. I can't. You can't imagine the pain I am feeling right now in having to choose a winner. And I'm also stalling. And I think in my heart of hearts, just going back to the ones that I played the most out of, the ones I just resonated with the most, I think these are two of the most amazing films in the Disney canon. But when I start thinking about it, I think I have to give it to Aladdin. Aladdin has to be my winner this season. And I know that might not be the popular choice, but we'll see how that goes.
This was pretty tough, but I kind of felt which way I was leaning during the discussion. And it's still tough, but I found myself using what Phoenix said in the finale of season 1 of, like, it's a Sunday night, you have the option to go see either of these movies for free, like, at a movie theater. Which one, like, would you go choose? And then I was still stuck with that. So then I was like, okay, I'm on a 2-hour plane ride. I can watch a movie on a plane surrounded by screaming children. Which one would I be able to enjoy more? Which one would be more bearable? And just, I would choose Beauty and the Beast. And like Carter said, it's just like, even though like we couldn't really use it to speak to its merits, like it was nominated for Best Picture, it is just quality the whole way through. Even though its message might seem a little muddled, it's still like I think it's still a really good message. And just, I don't know what I can say that we haven't already said during the entire course of the season, except the Gaston song is one of the best Disney villain songs of all time, and Jafar doesn't have a Disney villain song. He sings a reprise of Prince Ali, which isn't that great. So, there you go.
Wow.
And Avery, if you want to lend your support to a movie that didn't get enough votes,
Or just let her do her
or
thing.
do your vote,
Well-
nothing matters anymore.
Just stop.
Brad had a good final point there that Jafar did not have his own song. You're right. I rewatched these movies just, so I was a good guest and actually knew what I was talking about.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you so
And
much.
so I watched Aladdin on Monday and then Sunday night, and then I watched Beauty and the Beast today, and then I was torn and I was like, I have to watch Aladdin again. I just had to, because like I forgot how good that movie was. It's really funny. They have a lot of like good scenes, good characters, and like I really just like Aladdin as a protagonist. And they also have a little scene of Mulan in there from Mulan when they go around on the magic carpet. They visit Greece.
That's right. They go. To
They
Greece.
have a lot of like different
they
like
end in China. That's right.
and they end in China and watch the fireworks. And it's not gonna mean anything, but. And my co-host is not going to be happy with me choosing this. My co-host Carol is not going to be happy, but I had to choose Aladdin. I really like Aladdin.
The award for my favorite guest of all time goes to
Me?
Well, you're not
Thank
guest.
you, Robbie. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
I'm just mad you
Congratulations,
just stole
Brett.
that.
Brett.
This is all you've ever wanted.
Actually, well, you thought it was.
Oh,
it
it
actually
wasn't
goes
me.
to season 2, episode 2 and 3 guest Graham Gordon.
Oh,
Wow. That's great.
well, there you have it. There you have it. Our winner.
But no, really, thank you, Avery.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
For being the
Thank you
first
for-
guest
thank
to
you so
actually have
much.
seen
Yes.
all the
Thanks
movies
for
that we were
inviting
talking
me.
about.
This was
It was
fun.
very, very
But,
happy to have you.
There you have it. Our big winner of season 2.
It was
Beauty
so
and the Beast.
close.
Beauty and the Beast. My
We had a
goodness.
3-2 split.
Yeah.
I did not think that we were ever going to have something this close as our finale.
I honestly, it was between my brain and my heart, and I went
Yeah.
with my brain.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it could have been either way. But sorry, Aladdin, you can take your carpet and fly out of this kingdom.
Go find a whole new world to live in.
Yeah, because you ain't living here. This is
We
for
just-
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast is going to take
1991.
Cinderella Castle at Disney World. Can we just send Aladdin over to Disneyland to take the smaller,
No,
not as impressive
he has to
castle?
leave. He just
Yeah, just go back to Agrabah.
Back to Agrabah.
Yeah.
The Morocco Pavilion at Epcot.
Oh, wow.
gets a few square feet.
All right. Well, thank you for listening.
Yeah, seriously,
And
this has been
continuing
awesome.
this whole season.
Yeah.
I think we can start with recommendations now. If y'all want
Yeah.
to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same order.
So you can find me on Twitter at @CASpilliards, like spill something in your yard and add an S. I'm recommending today. It's 3 episodes in. It's on HBO every Sunday after Westworld. Please watch Succession. It's so good. It's one of my new favorite shows. Every character in it is awful. Absolutely, like I hate all of them, but it's so good. Just the interaction. It's very much like Arrested Development if it was like a straight drama, and they're all so vile, but it's so good to watch. So
Is it called Succession or Succession?
it's Succession,
Okay. Okay.
like succeeding someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I figured. I was like, but okay.
No, the
Cool.
show about secession is Confederate, which will probably not happen now.
That dropped off everyone's radar real quick, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
I am at Bombass Phoenix on Twitter. Follow me there. I tweet things I hope you like. Robbie's giving us that single tear. For my last recommendation of the show, I'm gonna give an episode from the Chris Gethard show, which I already recommended, but we just watched it like 15 minutes before we started recording, and we all just died laughing from it, and I forgot how great it is. So if you took the recommendation, I'm like, thank you for taking it. If you haven't, I strongly recommend that episode. It's on YouTube, the whole episode.
What episode?
Which episode?
Right. One Man's Trash. It's in season 3, episode 9, I think. It's called One Man's Trash of the Chris Gethard Show. It's on YouTube, the whole thing. Strongly recommend it. I always say it's the greatest hour of television of all time, and I feel like it holds up to some degree.
I doubted him, and I watched it, and it got me. I was in.
It is so
riveting.
great.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, it got positive feedback from everyone here except Avery because she didn't watch it. But
I didn't.
yeah, you will though.
Yeah.
That was a command.
Right now.
Anything else to plug, Phoenix? This is
Yes.
Phoenix's last full episode.
last-
Yeah,
show.
and I have one more plug. I forgot about it with the Twitter thing, but I created a web series for school, and I'm finally releasing the episodes called Frying My Best. You can find it on YouTube. I created the show. Robbie was kind enough to do the music for it and to star in one of the episodes.
Well, thank you for having me on the show and as a part of it, Phoenix.
No, thank you for doing it.
We're going to link to the YouTube page for it in the description
Yes.
of this episode.
When this episode's out, there will be one episode uploaded already.
So go subscribe.
Subscribe to the channel, Frying My Best, and every Friday I'll release the 2 episodes, a 3-episode arc, and then an outtakes video will come out shortly after that. So if you want to continue seeing some Phoenix content, you can check that out. It's comedy, and I hope you like it. So
It's very funny. Please go and watch it.
thank you, Carter.
It's
Appreciate
really
it.
funny.
Thank you.
It was honestly a joy to work on it.
Thank you. That means a lot.
I am Robbie_DShazer on Twitter and Instagram. Go ahead and follow me there. I post lots of stuff, not just retweeting and reposting Film Fracas stuff anymore. So, that's good, I guess. My recommendation this week, last week I teased that I was going to see it. Go see Hereditary. It's so good. It's scary as all hell, but, it's really good. See it with some friends so you can stay up all night, in the light. Just chilling and making sure nobody dies.
Yeah, it is the most terrifying movie I've ever seen.
It's pretty scary.
It's high praise.
We had to come back here and watch several episodes of Drake and Josh.
We had to get comfort.
had to get
Drake and
Comfort
Josh,
Whataburger.
watch,
and
Community.
then watch episodes of Community and Drake and Josh.
Drake and Josh to feel
That's to get
to feel
over a
grounded
scary movie.
again.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
missed that.
Yeah, it was a fun night.
It was a fun night. We
Sounds
all
like a fun night.
ended up here. We went to get a late night breakfast at Whataburger, and then we ended up here.
You can find me on Snapchat at BrettJHNSN1. Post a review of a movie as close to every day as I possibly can. Feel free to send me messages and we can discuss. My recommendation this week is going to be, we also watched a little bit of this before the episode, and I was internally combusting, but I didn't want to laugh too loud to annoy everybody else, but the one and only Space Ghost Coast to Coast. That show is something else. It's so good. It's so funny. It's so surreal. Go watch it. Don't laugh at it, and then tell me how much you hate me for recommending it. But yeah,
Another thing we just watched and also just really liked.
It's really good.
I love it. It's so funny. It's so dumb. But yeah, Space Ghost.
And of course, our esteemed guest.
Cool. So you can follow my podcast on iTunes called The Demon Trash Podcast. We're on Twitter at Demon Trash Cast, on Instagram at Demon Trash Podcast. I'm going to recommend this little anime series called Agretsuko. It's really fun. It's about a red panda who like works in like, you know, corporate Japan or wherever, and she just gets through her life and like all her troubles with death metal, and it's just really fun, and it's really short and sweet, so it's a little thing to laugh at and, you know, watch.
It's all on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's really good.
All right.
And go listen to my podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Avery,
Yes,
for coming.
thank you
for coming on the podcast.
Go try out Demon Trash.
Listen,
Yeah, check out
subscribe
Demon Trash.
to Demon Trash.
And that's gonna do it for
That's gonna do it.
season 2.
Oh, we have some
Here at
season
Fun
episode
Fracas.
updates.
Season 2 of the bag.
Just about like the show in general.
Yes, so we're going to be releasing our bonus episode next week that'll kind of cover this season in review, that kind of thing. Because it's summer and we all have vacations and stuff we're going on, we're going to have a couple of just bonus episodes. I think it's just going to be Robbie, Brett, and myself. We're going to do some like fun mini games and maybe test out some head-to-head stuff.
Just gonna be hanging out, having a good time.
Hanging out, and that'll be on for 2 or 3 weeks possibly.
Something like that.
And then we have a new co-host that'll be joining the show, full in, you know, properly for season 3, and we'll get those movies announced.
Probably in one of those bonus
Probably in one of those bonus
So
episodes.
keep your eyes peeled.
Keep your eyes
peeled. Ears peeled.
Your ears open, eyes peeled. And I swear more content is coming. We're developing video content and all kinds of stuff. So
Lots of cool
we
stuff.
Need
Lots
to
of
get
cool
moving
stuff.
on that because I'm starting to get annoyed with none of this bonus content.
I know.
Well, subscribe to the YouTube
Needs to be
channel.
more.
And
Yeah, we need
might see some
more
videos.
Follow
YouTube
us on Facebook
subscribers.
and Twitter at Film
Yes.
Fracas. Oh, also on Instagram. Follow us on all those places. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Check out Frying My Best. Check out what else do we have to tell people to check out?
I think that's about it because we talked about Demon Trash.
Oh, happy Pride to all our LGBTQ
Oh yes, of
fans.
course. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
So
I'm going to be in San Francisco in 2 weeks, and we
You just missed it, aren't you?
yeah, and I would have. I think we will have just missed it. So
Well,
But yeah, that's
you
gonna.
can enjoy the aftermath. I
that's
guess.
true.
But yeah, that's gonna do it here for us. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been season 2. Stay tuned. We'll be back. We will be better than ever next season. Who knows? You'll have to tune in and find out for yourself. Thank you so much, Phoenix. We're gonna miss you so
I'm already
much.
crying.
Yeah, this is
So-
rough.
At least
But he'll
you
be in the
know it'll
bonus
be better
episode.
when I.
Yeah, no, Phoenix, stop.
Come on, I had to throw that in.
You're gonna make me cry, but
He will be in the next bonus episode. He's not
Yes.
going to be too missed for you guys.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for us here. Thank you for listening, and as always, stay tuned.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Film Fracas. We know there are a lot of shows on the web, and we are so glad you took the time to listen to ours. Thank you to Brett Johnson, Carter Spilliards, and Robbie DeShazer for writing and producing each episode. Please consider giving us a 5-star rating wherever you listen. It really does help get the word out. You can follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Film Fracas. Once again, thanks for listening, and we can't wait for you to hear our next episode.